Good evening, everyone. Some days are simply more amazing than others. Today is such a day, I think. It doesn't take too much to make a day very special, and I'll give you examples of that. A while ago, I was in the old city of Florence in Italy, in a small and narrow street. And on the pavement, I saw a reflection, a very strange reflection, with lettering in it, golden letters, Colleria. When I looked up, I saw a sign, Coltelleria, which is cutlery. So this was a shop, and there was a reflection on the pavement, but it's not correct, see? This is correct, and this is upside down. That's amazement. Why? And so I realized that they cut out the plexiglass board slightly too big, and therefore it was curved. It's hollow here, even more hollow here, and here. Here it's flat. So here you get a focal point, turning it upside down or straight again. This is a focal point and straight. That's the reason. They cut it out too big, and in the middle it's flat because the frame gives way for the size. I was so happy. I was on my knees photographing it. There were nice gentlemen looking at me as though I was a beggar, and I was in the seventh heaven. So that can make a day very special. It starts with amazement. When two men are talking in the street, they might be looking at the subject of their conversation. It's about here in the air. We don't see it, but they're looking at it. Gentlemen tend to stand like this. They don't look at each other straight on. Women do that. They look at each other straight on, and they might talk at the same time. That's different. Our brains are not quite the same. This is in the middle of the city, and as you can see, looking direction can be used as a signal. So everybody is looking in the direction where they're going to indicate, I'm not making any room for you. If they do, they might look at me and say, hey man, what do you want? Want to cross or not? And that's how traffic in an unregulated system like Groningen can work. I find that beautiful. So that's amazement, thinking, and a solution. This gentleman here is what we call rubbernecking. Men do that a lot. They turn their head to look at things like a woman. She may have seen him already, but she doesn't turn her head. One reason is that she has better peripheral vision than the man. And there are more reasons why she's not looking. This is a photograph, one of the few that I didn't take, because in 1913 I wasn't there yet. It's Jacques-Henri Lartigue, a fantastic photographer, and he took a photograph of his father at 80 kilometers an hour in 1913. And as you can see, the wheels are not round, and the people at the side of the road are leaning. And the question is why? There was a BBC program, and they didn't find the answer. I started to think, again, amazement. He used a camera with a slit shutter. So the slit moves over the focal plane, over the film, as he's taking the photograph. Very fast, yet it has an effect. This is what happened. So the slit moves over the film as the wheel rolls in that direction, and that's the reason why he's leaning like this and the wheel is like that. And nowadays, if you look at cartoons with cars that are fast speeding, they have wheels like that. And I don't know who came first. That's another interesting question. So we thought 80 kilometers an hour is not very fast, but in those days on unpaved roads, it was very fast. This is a red robin that I filmed in my garden, and it's sitting on a bowl of food. Nothing special, nothing to be amazed about. But he might be looking at the food, Sometimes he's looking at me, because he saw me. And what you see is that his head is completely still, which is amazing, because the bowl is moving because of him, but he compensates with the rest of his body to keep his head still. He does that to be able to see well. That's the reason why pigeons walk like this. They move their head, walk under it, move their head. We do the same, but you don't see it in our head. We do it with our eyes. If you walk like this, your head moves a little bit at every step, but your eyes move against it to keep your image stable. Again, amazement, thinking, and more knowledge. What's the relationship between a fish head and a leg prosthesis? That's part of my life. Again, is a link. Look at this fish. It opens its mouth, makes a suction tube, and sucks in the fish. It does that with many bones that are connected by joints. I made a plexiglass model. This system evolved over time, so the bones were evolving until it got this solution. I find it interesting because you can also use the same technique to let something evolve in the computer. For instance, a prosthetic leg. So this is what we invented and patented. These are little bars that make walking with a prosthesis, as you can see, more stable. So again, you use the idea of evolution and apply it in technology and help people with it. So amazement, thinking, solution, and application comes next. Walking. People walk in different ways. It depends a lot on genetics, the way you're built, etc., etc. But you can also use it as for identification. Walking is a pattern of features. We use, for forensic research, 20 features. And you might think that gives an almost infinite number of possibilities, but that's not the case. Some of the features, like your foot orientation and your knee extension, are coupled slightly. So we found out by filming many, many people in the street of different ages, etc., what that pattern was. And we can apply it to people on a crime scene, like this guy here. Then there is a suspect that's also filmed, and we can calculate what the chance is that these two people are the same persons. You do that with statistics and with measurements. We developed that method, and it's now used internationally. So we have a big population. We get images from the police, from a perpetrator, a suspect, and we can calculate what's the chance of finding the resemblance in gait, in walking, assuming that they're the same or assuming that they're not the same. That's been very helpful. We solved a lot of cases. This one, for instance. There were 23 cases of arson in the city of Harlingen, and they had a suspect, but he was clean. There was nothing you could tell about him. So we said, well, film the guy as he walks in and out of his house, and then we'll compare it to the footage at the crime scenes. And there was a high resemblance, like 2,000 times more likely that it's the same person than somebody else. And that was very helpful because they arrested him. They found DNA on a half-burned glove. And the day after that, he said, yes, I was the guy who did it. And he is put away, and now Harlingen can sleep again. So, maybe Jim, can you walk for me?
Of course. How do I have to walk?
Just walk relaxed in a normal way.
Watch them?
Yeah, that's nice.
Is that good?
Yeah, very good. Okay. Interesting.
Is that positive or negative?
If I were you, I wouldn't do any dodgy things at night.
Of course, thank you.
Because I will find you. Thank you very much.